Labour has distanced itself from the Rochdale by-election candidate Azhar Ali, who claimed Israel deliberately let Hamas massacre its citizens. The party says more information has come to light. Joining me now to discuss this is Gideon Falter, Chief Executive of Campaign Against Antisemitism. So, Gideon, what's your reaction?
Well, look, they've gone and done the right thing, haven't they? Except that they've done it about 48 hours too late. And this is the thing that is causing so much concern, because if they have a candidate who's on the ballot paper, who has said something grievously anti-Semitic, I mean, it's blood libel. He said that Jews had engineered the worst massacre of Jews since the Holocaust in order that they could go and sort of kill some Palestinians. It's a blood libel. And if you've got someone like that on the ballot, there should be a very simple choice that you make, which is to say, we're not backing this person. This person's not going to be our candidate. If they're elected, they're not going to be our MP. That's it. We're done with this person. It's a very simple moral principle stand to take. And instead of doing that, Labour spent a long time trying to convince everybody that this person was actually a good candidate, that they'd apologised and we should believe their apology and all of this sort of thing. We've seen it all before, frankly, during the Corbyn era. And naturally, and probably inevitably, we got to the point yesterday evening when there was just so much outcry, so much condemnation, so much disappointment with the leadership of the Labour Party not taking a firm stance on this, that they inevitably got rid of the candidate and did what they should have done at the beginning. But it's that delay, I think, which has really concerned people, which has made people think, how serious are the Labour Party under Keir Starmer about fighting anti-Semitism and tearing it out by its roots? And what I hope is that the fumbling on this has been the responsibility of people within the party, not Sir Keir Starmer himself. But of course, we don't know that because no one within Labour seems to want to talk about this at the moment.
That's interesting in itself. In Keir Starmer's defence, and I'm not the first person to jump to his defence very often, do you think that he has made a concerted effort since he became leader to rid the Labour Party of the toxic reputation it had for being anti-Semitic under Jeremy Corbyn? It seems to me as though he's taken decisive action all the way up to this week. I felt like he was doing a really good job and he's blown it.
I think no question about it, Nadine. He's been, he was on the front bench under Corbyn and he didn't really say anything about anti-Semitism in that time. So I think a lot of people were very sceptical of him when he took over the Labour Party and in his opening speech said that he was going to tear out anti-Semitism by its roots. And I think a lot of people looked at that and thought, well, where were you during the Corbyn years? And yet he has done an admirable job. And he has stood up to anti-Semites within the party. And I think up until this incident, a lot of people were looking at him and thinking, you know what, this is exactly what we needed in the next leader of the Labour Party after Jeremy Corbyn, was somebody who was actually going to stand up to people like Diane Abbott, like Kate Ossamore, and these are MPs of the Labour Party that he has suspended, withdrawn whip from, criticised, punished, etc. And that's exactly what one expects to happen in the face of racism against Jews or anybody else. And yet with this incident, with Azhar Ali, I think what's been so unsettling is that suddenly electoral politics are in play. There's a by-election. Because of the deadlines with elections, it was too late to remove Azhar Ali from the ballot paper. So the option was either to run with Azhar Ali despite his comments, or to get rid of him as the candidate, and he would still be on the ballot paper. There's still a good chance he would be elected. He'd still have Labour next to his name on the printed ballot papers, but then he wouldn't be their MP. And it seems that politics won over principle in this case, because they seem to have decided they were going to stick with this person for the purposes of the election, because not doing so would be costly in an electoral sense. And then when the pressure became too much, then they took the stance that they should have taken out of principle. And maybe they did take it out of principle. The problem is now it looks like they were shamed into doing it rather than doing it because it was the right thing to do.
Well, doing it because it was the right thing to do and politics over principle actually was in your the earlier part of your comment, which is when Jeremy Corbyn was running to at the last general election in 2017. And it's interesting because I think Keir Starmer is struggling to shake off that very accusation that he promoted Jeremy Corbyn. He didn't campaign for anti-Semitism, about anti-Semitism in the Labour Party. He didn't take a stand and protect those MPs who were both distressed, harassed, trolled on social media and left the Labour Party as a result. You named it. He was totally silent. So he's struggling to shake off that anyway, because people do keep bringing that up. And now, again, in this situation this week, over 24 hours, he was putting politics above principle again. And that's not the reputation Keir Starmer has fought to establish. He wants to come across as a principled leader, a man of integrity. And yet I think what this has done this week is highlighted the fact that when it comes to integrity or principle, he will put politics first.
I think probably Keir Starmer will be very regretful about the handling of this. I mean, it has been a bit of a fiasco, hasn't it? I mean, you don't stick by someone for a whole day and then suddenly say, actually, no, we're getting rid of the person without anything really new coming to light. I mean, they said that there were some additional comments, but the additional comments weren't any worse than the previous comments. So I think Sir Keir Starmer probably will be very regretful about what's happened here. And I think there should be some real reflection within the Labour Party. The question is, you know, we do polling every year of the Jewish community to see how the Jewish community is feeling about anti-Semitism, faith in law enforcement, faith in politics and different political parties. And the Labour Party, it will be no surprise, during the Corbyn years, scored the worst out of any political party. That continued after Jeremy Corbyn's fall. And yet it was starting to recover now. The Jewish community was starting to recover. I think the fruits of Sir Keir Starmer's efforts to tear out anti-Semitism within the Labour Party, I think was starting to bear out in the polling that we do of the Jewish community. People were starting to feel a bit more confident. And my worry is, and I'm sure that people in the Labour Party will also be worried, that this fiasco, this shambles of the last couple of days is going to really put a dent in that, because rebuilding trust requires consistency. And the last couple of days have shown anything but consistency in approach to anti-Semitism from the Labour Party.
And do you think it will have an impact on the election result?
I couldn't tell you that. I don't know. You know, we're a charity, so we don't know, and we don't get involved with electoral politics or party politics or tell people who to vote for or parties how to organise themselves. But I think that the voters of Rochdale will obviously have been paying close attention to what's been going on, and they'll have to make up their own minds.
OK, Gideon, well, thank you so much for that. We're going to have to go to the break now, but thank you for your contribution today. So.